The finder is starting this morning and says that the U.S. military deal, what we know so far, that allays fears. The photograph of the defense minister is here. And armed robbers strike at Oyarifa, bust staff unions, back MD's reforms, and injection death toll rises to 4. The Ghana Health Service says that the health worker was operating illegally there. The Today newspaper says Anyidaho faces CID today, and Palmer Buckle blast NPP NDC over politicization of national issues. Those are some of the papers I have with me this morning. Now, my guest will do the talking after the Easter break. Yapia Kubi is a member of the NDC's communication team. He's with me here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing great. How was Easter?
We are coping.
Right.
It was a moment to reflect, to think about the future, and to think of what we need to do as a people. We know the essence of the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ.
I'm grateful. And a member of the NPP's communication team, a legal practitioner, is also here. Gary Nimako is also with me in the studio. Good morning, too.
Good morning,
and I hope Easter was fine for you, too.
Well, not bad. But if you see my brother sitting on my left, you can see how he's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing well.
And His Excellency in another government.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm sure you heard him. You're doing great.
Well, you see, I thought we were talking about religious matters.
All right. Welcome to the studios after the break.
Gary wants us to start swimming in the hot waters.
Well, we can't do religion devoid of our everyday
politics.
Lives.
All right.
Well, we are everyday lives. If you see how
Palmer Baker insists that we are doing too much politics. He's blaming the NPP NDC for it. But let's start this morning's conversation with a time this morning. The president Easter message this morning is captured on page 16. It says that he's asking Ghanaians to commit themselves to the values of love, service, and sacrifice as they join the Christian community to celebrate Easter. Now, the president said that the occasion should be used as a real source of hope that there is a brighter future ahead of Ghana. He reminded Ghanaians of their responsibilities to God and towards one another. Now, he said that we are determined to free our people from a mindset of dependence, aid, charity, and handouts. Again, the president said we are bent on mobilizing Ghana's own considerable resources to resolve Ghana's problems, and we recognize the connectedness of our people and economy to those of our neighbors. So he said we are building a Ghana beyond aid. That's the president's Easter message to Ghanaians. Gary, it is good I start with you. Right. The president simply said that the future is bright. Is that what you see?
Well, good morning, Bright. Good morning to your viewers. Good morning to my brother on my left. As I said, if you live in a country where there is peace, where there is love, definitely to reflect at least in your day-to-day activities. Sometimes not only about the financial gain that you get, but the enabling peace that you get in itself. I think it's a clarion call for us all to celebrate. What is the president saying? Ghana beyond aid. You recollect that over the years, it has been our practice that we have been over-dependent on aid, on foreign aid. And the president wants to see a departure, a sharp departure from this dependence to a situation whereby we can be able to produce for ourselves, industrialize for ourselves, build an economy, for the economy to transcend beyond the normal, usual aid handouts. Clearly, right. If you live in your home and somebody must subsidize your daily income or your family income on a daily basis, if you are not careful, that person will now begin to take a direct control of even how and what you should eat in your house. Now, we live in a country where our budget is always, every time, financed by foreign donors. Is that a way that we should go on a long-term basis? I think that no. On a long-term basis, there must be a system in place whereby we can be self-sufficient and self-reliant. The reason is simple. In these advanced economies where even they are giving us these aid and all these monies, they too are going through difficulties. So by and large, if you are not careful, and your mindset is that let us continue to depend on them on a daily basis, year by year, if you are not careful, When their economies get to the crunch,
It will affect you.
it will affect us. That is the reason why I think it is very important that now, especially the president said, look, let's just look at a marked departure from this, our usual dependence on foreign aid and foreign donor. And then let's put a switch whereby Ghana is now not a situation of aid, but trade, business, investment. So that at the end of the day, once the trade and investment, we can benefit.
But are we doing what we need to do to get there?
You see, the systems have been put in place now. If you look at the government flagship program of One District, One Factory, which is here to take off this year, you realize that the government is taking copious steps to ensure that the system to ensure that we industrialize are put in place. Because see, the only way that I think we can stabilize our currency is for us to be able to produce the things that we import. Some of them even importing toothpick. And there's so much drive for dollar and foreign currency. And once there's a push-pull effect, the demand is so high, the price will obviously escalate. So we must make sure we depart from this everyday importation to produce these things here. So at the end of the day, the demand for the dollar will reduce. I'm aware that the government now is trying to introduce a certain, incentives to even, poultry through this bank, Exim Bank.
We're told
right?
They will cut down the importation of
chicken.
Exactly.
Now you realize that people are importing chicken day by day into the country. Now, if this is cut down, it means that the pressure on the dollar on that area or that side of the economy will be reduced. Now, that alone is also not enough. There should be other areas where people now will begin to now see that, look, there's a need for this industry to create employment for people. When there is business here, there's employment here, that's the only way we can survive. Aside that, this day by day, every day looking for handouts and saying, well, we are poor, we are poor, so give us something, give us aid. To what extent can we survive on that one? So I think that what the president has said is very apt. And you cannot do this without sacrifice. You see, sometimes you go through hunger today to get something better tomorrow. That is why you have to tighten your belt. But you see, the people will say, well, when we say tighten your belt, everybody must tighten his belt. Not that some belts are loose and other belts are also tight. So I think that what the president said is about sacrifice. We should all sacrifice for the betterment of our country. But there's hope in sight. There's real hope in sight. And I think that with the commitment of the president and the people that he has appointed to put them in power to ensure that our betterment is served, that our collective well as a people is served, let's pursue that. And at the end of the day, within the 4-year mandate or the 8-year mandate, the people of Ghana will be the assessors and judge the work of the president.
Right.
And I hope by then, my friend will. I always maintain that my friend is somebody who should come and join the NPP party. You see, I've always told him, but for some reason he still wants to be in the NDC.
With the NDC.
But you see, if you are not careful, this party is going to run for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 16 years. In 16 years in opposition, it will be very difficult for you. So back and forth.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to renounce your membership of the NDC and quickly jump to the NPP, if you agree.
And he's not the first person to
have done that. It's a laughable issue. I mean, let me say a good morning to you. And to
it's a future bride too, from what you see. That's what the president said.
But to just respond quickly to Gary's request, I want him to understand that we don't join political parties by virtue of the fact that you just want to be part of the political party. You join because you are convinced by the ideals and the principles of that organization.
Oh, okay.
And in so doing, you believe that that approach and the principles and their mode of development is what will lead, first of all, us out of our current situation and to build a better country. So I thank him for his request.
For the invitation.
Unfortunately, I am not a believer of the property-owning democratic approach to development. I hope that
one day you have a change of mind and join us.
But the important thing about the president's message, I think that Ghanaians are being fed too much with sloganeering and name calling and just putting words out there. I mean, we've seen too much of that, and people are beginning to ask that, does this government really mean business? Or they are just in to continue throwing out their names, to continue throwing out their slogans to no end? Because, you see, Bright, we have been fed with one slogan to the other. I mean, the regime will put forward something: one district, one factory, one village, one dam. And all they do is that they keep throwing these terms and slogans out there. But in practice and in principle, there's nothing really happening on the ground. They told us that they are restoring nursing training allowance. Since January, the nurses have not been paid. They told us that free SHS will be for all school-going children. They come into power, and we are being told that it's going to start gradually, and only first-year people are going to start. They tell us that they are going to put a dam in every village. As at now, we don't know about what's happening to that policy. Now the president comes and tells us that we are going to develop Ghana without aid. I think that is a laudable thing to say and to imagine. I mean, since independence, and even before independence, the pre-colonial regime, the colonial masters themselves told us that they were coming here to civilize us and to develop us. And so even the colonial powers themselves had a vision in their understanding of developing and getting us, making us independent and so on. So it is not a new call. After independence, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah and successive regimes kept saying that we need to be self-reliant, we need to be self-sufficient, and we need to move in that direction. Just saying Ghana beyond aid means nothing. It's about which approach and mechanism is happening, is on the ground, in ensuring that we go beyond aid.
And he outlined a couple of things.
You see, when first of all, you tell us that you are going to do one district, one factory, and your approach to building those factories, first of all, is to bring Chinese businessmen to put forward those factories. That in itself is the defeat of the principles of self-reliance and self-sufficiency. Because we've been told that it is Chinese businesses that are going to be putting up these factories. You are saying that we need to go beyond aid. We need to build ourselves and develop our capacity and so on internally. Now, the approach to doing that itself is externally oriented. And that is what I'm saying, that the government itself keep contradicting. I mean, the president is saying that we should mobilize our resources for our own development. What does that mean? Does that mean that we should be leveraging our resources out for external powers and multinational companies at the expense of the local economy and so on? So you see, we keep saying all these things about development. We keep talking about development and going beyond it and so on. But we need to, first of all, as a people, define what development means to us. Does it just mean the growth in GDP, the growth in the economy, in the expansion of our productive sectors, which in essence, the beneficiaries of that growth is external multinational companies, whereby the development is foreign and externally oriented? Or we are talking about an internally integrated approach to development, where the Ghanaian businessman, where the Ghanaian people themselves are able to take control of their resources, harness it, and develop internally and become self-sufficient and self-reliant. So these terms that we keep throwing about development, about expansion and so on, means nothing unless it is linked to the proper benefits that the ordinary people of this country will get out of that. And
so if the president says that he's on track to achieving Ghana beyond aid, you do not see it at all?
I've listened to a lot of spokespersons from government, and I'm talking about the Minister for Information, somebody like Honorable Mustafa Hamid, who argues that they don't, first of all, they themselves don't believe in a development plan. They believe that once you come, you do what you have to do, and then you get out. You cannot go beyond aid if you don't have a long-term strategy and vision in ensuring that you get out of that. So if the government spokesperson himself is saying that they do not, I mean, their party do not believe in a development program, and that they believe that once you have a 4-year mandate, you do whatever you have to do to ensure that there's foreign direct investment, and then there will be growth. That in itself is a lack of understanding of what development and ultimately getting out of aid means. And that is why I keep saying that the government is either confused or they don't mean what they tell Ghanaians, and they are just on a certain sloganeering drive to ensure that at the end of the Ghanaians are confused and will buy into these things they see. You see, the bottom line is that, right, and in comment, I can see that Gary is feeling jittery already.
Oh, he'll come in.
You see, the bottom line is that development means a lot of different things to different people. For me, I believe that when we talk about development, it is about taking control of our resources. It's about ensuring that the resources of the country, first of all, benefits Ghanaians. And if there are excesses and surpluses, we think about external trade and so on. How can you be talking about development without aid? Well, first of all, we are signatory to this economic partnership agreement where foreigners are allowed to come in and compete with our infant industries and kill them. You understand? And once you are signatories and all these international protocols and so on comes in, it puts a certain burden on your ability to expand your economy and to develop. You cannot just be talking about that without the linkages to the externalities and how government is bent on ensuring that there are alternatives.
But isn't that why, for instance, the president's dream is to start one district, one factory, nurture them, grow them to become that giant industry we also
is it Brad, first of all, let me say that the president kept assuring us. As of last year, I remember the president told us that by ending of December, 51 of those factories will be ready. As we speak, there's none. We had the launch of the One District, One Factory in the Kumfi amid fanfare and jubilation. Now go and look at the Kumfi pineapple factory. There's nothing happening there. So first of all, the commitment itself and the lack of inconsistencies and coherence in what they keep telling us is a commitment that they intend to roll out. Is what I find shocking. And I mean, it makes it difficult for me to believe whenever they say some of these things.
Okay.
You see, when the government says that his commitment, one of his main commitments to create jobs, and the creation of jobs is linked to this One District, One Factory. And the president is asked in January, I think in February, meet the press, that how many jobs have been created and where are those jobs? The president says that he has no idea and that they should give him 3 months. We are in April. Where are the jobs? I expect that
he said
3 months will be finished.
No idea. Is that what he said?
The president couldn't answer this question.
We are here to ask him.
Right, you see, right, in all fairness. You see,
Gary, is it slogans? Are these things slogans that we are hearing?
These are not slogans. These are political
matters. One factory, one village,
these are matters in action. These are not slogans.
Okay, so we are yet to see.
Wait a minute. Not even before my brother is jumbling up a lot of things together. Now, 2016, this government was voted into office. 2017, the president was sworn in. Now, the president said, if I'm, elected in power, I will initiate what you call a free SHS. That is a prospective application of the policy. Now, I have a big difficulty when, you see, every policy that you initiate must come with a budget. 2017, you are in office, you do your budget, and then you say that you are going to apply the policy 2017. How do they expect a retrospective application of the policy? That is where I don't even get it in the first place. Because you see, the budget the government put in place for 2017 was to apply to the year one. And everybody in year one knows that they are enjoying free education. So when you say that policy hasn't been implemented to the fullest, I don't get it.
Okay.
Because those in the year 2 and the year 3 are already enjoying half bursary. Half bursary is already there.
Did you promise half bursary?
No, please. See, let us know sometimes through that the people of the easy. Let people understand that you don't vote me in the power in 2016, 2017, I take office, and then you say that certain burdens, certain obligations which I did not even, it's not even part of my budget, I should inherit it. 2017, the government took and said, look, let me apply the policy prospectively, which means that now, in the next year, those who also now going to go to year 2, the year 1 also come and enjoy free education. It will progress in that manner. So when you say there is no free education, it means you are just trying to tell the people of Ghana that what you are saying is not true. That's a fact. Now, One District, One Factory is a government flagship policy initiative, which, you see, like Thomas, they don't have faith. They don't have faith.
I see.
They don't have faith. It's like when Jesus Christ died and resurrected, they said, look, I still have to see and put my hand at where the rape where you were. You don't have faith.
Before you
The government program has been made clear that June this year, it will kickstart. The list has been made clear to everybody. Now wait till June. We are now in April, May, and June. Wait till June. If you don't see any action, then you cannot cut a slay. But this kind of pessimistic approach that everything the government says is sloganeerism.
But based on what was said, that 2017 will have 51 factories, where should we take the June date?
You see, government has projections. You come into a government, all right, even prior to taking over, a certain image you have about the government, the previous government, that's what I'm saying. Now you take over the state of affairs, you realize these people have looted everything. Nothing is there in the coffers. Nothing is there. What do? You must now put in place systems and mechanisms to now raise money to do your projects. 1 year is just gone. Now this is about the 4th month. You see, sometimes my brothers talk as if this party has been in government for about 4 years and nothing is happening. It's just 1 year, 3 or 4 months. You see, if even a woman got pregnant, all right, you will have given birth to just a toddler, a baby. And the baby, kids, once they come into the world, but they will lie stable for a time. They will now begin to crawl. They will now you see, take your time for the government. And I can assure you, this is not a government of mere words. It's a government of action. And you can even see from the very beginning that it came, all these things that they said they're going to do within 1 year, it has come. Look, this what do you call it, the free nursing allowance restoration. The money has been restored to them. It's been paid. They said since January they have not gotten the money. You know, government monies are always paid in quarterly basis.
Okay.
You understand? Look, when we were in secondary school, we were A level. We were getting what do you call allowances, bursary.
Yeah, it was a bursary.
But it wasn't given it every month. It was coming quarter. All right, even at the University of Ghana, when we were enjoying also bursary in the University of Ghana, it was coming quarter. If you go and do government project or government work or government contract and you are being paid, it is not paid as and when you finish the work. That's not how government does the thing. So please, take your time. Have faith in the president. Have faith in the government. I can assure you.
Right?
I can assure you. No,
okay.
You're not going to say that again. I can assure you. I can assure you.
I just want to highlight one thing that Gary keeps repeating.
I can assure you that this pessimistic approach, that everything being rolled out by the president or the government will not materialize, so that you see, you paint a certain picture, a certain blurred picture to the Ghanaians, that you see, let us come back. Things are not working well. You know, these people must go. I'm telling you, by the time the 4-year period runs out, Ghanaians will say, look, let's give the president additional 4 years, because they've seen the good work of the president, and he needs additional 4 years to accomplish all the other.
Okay, all right. A minute. Yes, go and then move to.
Right now narrows.
You mean Gary?
Gary now narrows the whole governance process to us having faith, and that is quite unfortunate.
Oh, faith and actions.
No
faith and actions.
The
faith is backed by the actions.
Can I make my point?
No, the faith is backed by the actions.
No problem.
The actions so far, which you have seen, which is reflecting on you yourself.
Okay, Gary, allow him. Allow him to make his point.
But you know, I've known my brother not today, and before 2016, I know how he has now improved.
Okay.
You see, and I can assure him he should take his time for us.
That will be better.
It will be far better
than what
to the extent that he himself will now begin to say that, look, I think I'm better off under MPP administration than NDC. And therefore, never again will I join NDC.
No problem.
Come back to MPP.
No problem. You let that time
please
come first. But you see, the point is that we are not asking these questions in a vacuum. I am saying that, and many Ghanaians are asking that, first of all, the president told us that the cost of petroleum or fuel will be reduced drastically when it comes to power. No, let me make a point. I'm building. You are saying that you are saying that we should have faith, and that every word you uttered, you are working on it.
I've been to see.
No, the president also told us
electricity has been reduced effective 1st of April.
Oh, Gary.
Right.
Now when you buy power is now reduced effective today.
Gary, can we
30% for what do you call it?
You allow him to go on. I come to you if you need to make that point. Okay. Yeah.
So the point I'm saying is that if the president promises or assures Ghanaians that by the end of 2017 there will be 51 factories, and we are in April and there's none, I mean, you still keep telling us that we should have faith. I mean, if governance is a matter of having faith, then I don't think that you had any justification to want to come and rule this country. And you see, Bright, Gary has gone on and on about the fact that they are doing what they said they would do and that we should have faith and so on. I want to let him know that His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, in 2008, as early as less than 6 months of Professor Mills's reign, told Professor Mills that he was Professor Doolittle in less than 1 year. Now you are here telling us that in 1 year, 4 months, we don't have any justification to question and to even ask questions, critique your governance. I think that you are not being fair to Ghanaians, and you should at least credit us with some sense of history and a sense of wanting to know and believing in what we really want to enjoy. But in conclusion,
yes,
I think that the government, and for that matter, the president gave his word about peace and so on. And that is very, very important. Peace is relative. Of course, if you are living in the Flagstaff House in the mansion, you'll be talking about peace. But I don't think that the MP for Esunafo and the people of that community who have been assaulted, the police officers have been attacked, their vehicles seized and used to rob other people, you'll be talking about peace in this period. You are talking about many people who are being attacked and so on. Look at what happened to supporters and sympathizers who went to the police headquarters to solidarize with the arrest of the General Secretary of the NDC. The use of rubber...
I thought you said you're wrapping up on the...
No, I'm making a point.
Wrap up. Yeah, wrap up.
The use of rubber bullets and brute force. I mean, how can you be talking about peace within such a dispensation? And so, yes, it is a relative term. What is peace for somebody is another thing for another person. And I think that until they come to a realization that you govern a country which is not homogeneous, and that where you sit as Gary is different from where the other person who is a trotro driver sits is different. And you need to put in place mechanisms to ensure that there's fairness and there's a just society is a very important issue.
You see, right.
Guys, let's move on.
A quick point.
Let's move on. We'll run out of time. We're hitting the top of the hour.
This government will accept constructive criticisms from all citizens. It's never the case that the government will not even accept or hear.
Okay.
We are not the YNTOBR government. We will listen.
Okay.
Okay?
But you say we are talking too much.
Let's quickly jump to this one. I'm sure we'll spend just about a few minutes on this one. The Flagstaff House has been renamed. Government says that it is not a renaming and that the Flagstaff House is still within the structure, and that what has been renamed, Jubilee House, is what was constructed to mark Ghana's Jubilee. Yeah, well, let me start with you. The explanation there, is it something that you buy?
Well, I don't buy it, but I think that, you see, this government always keep throwing things up whenever there's an issue, and they want to divert the attention. I think the most important thing that the government should get itself busy with is to provide food, clothes, and shelter for the ordinary people and for the many Ghanaians. I mean, I feel very sad when we need to be changing our landmarks, I mean, along political lines and political colors. It is it's quite backward, and I think that we should be making progress as a country. Now, the whole issue about Flagstaff House just being the office of the former president, I mean, Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah, and that the whole edifice, now they call Jubilee House, which was put up to mark our Golden Jubilee. I don't know why they didn't call it Golden Jubilee House, but they are calling it Jubilee House. But you see, Bright, when you talk about the Flagstaff House, it encompasses the residence of the then first president, the offices, and that whole area. They are now telling us that it is just the small office of Osagyefo, that is Flagstaff House, and that it is intact. I think that it is just the government trying to cloud the whole issue with certain technicalities in order for us to lose the main essence of the point. But you see, what I found even worrying was the explanation that government spokespersons gave. And in there, one of the reasons that they cited was that they are trying to get rid of colonial relics and colonial past and try to assume a certain post-colonial independent stature and status and so on. I asked myself, why are they not renaming all the colonial edifices? Why are they not renaming even Easter? It's a colonial inheritance. Why are they not changing the name Easter to something else? Why are they not changing Christmas to something else? Why are they just interested in Flagstaff House? And so you see, you find, why are they even interested in the colonial occupation, the re-colonial occupation by the presence of U.S. military forces in our country? And they tell us that they are interested in getting rid of colonial relics and our colonial past. I find it ridiculous. And I think that it is important that we deal with the very important issues of food, clothes, and shelter, which is a matter that concerns many Ghanaians. The renaming of some of these things. I mean, the government is supposed to be putting up factories to create jobs for the teeming youth. That is what we're expecting, to hear them being named and so on. Not to rename something and then try to make another fanfare once again out of that. But for me, it is an inconsistent and an incoherent explanation that people and spokesperson of government is giving about this matter. I find it quite worrying and sorry.
Your party has already given the signal that once it comes to power, it will revert to Flagstaff. Is that the way to go?
Well, I made a point earlier that I find it worrying that we keep changing our landmarks along political coloration. I think that that is not the way to go. And let the time come first. And I'm sure that once the regime is in place, we'll look at the appropriate means to dealing with some of these mechanisms.
Gary, the name change, government communicators trying to justify it. Is this something we should be spending a lot of our energies on?
Right, is there a name change at all?
Well, that's what
there's no name change.
Right.
Well, if we saw previously, it was Flagstaff, and the next morning we were seeing Jubilee House boldly on the walls. It signifies a name change.
No, you see, there's no name change.
At all?
There's no name change. No, I don't see any name change. What I see is a proper naming of the premises.
Proper naming.
Called Jubilee House. No, the name change. Look at the communique that was signed by the president, His Excellency. Clearly, nobody changed the name from Jubilee House to Flagstaff House. Let's not forget, President Kufuor looked for money to build that edifice and then name it Jubilee House prior to exit power. Then President Mills, his also rest in peace, came to power and then said, well, they are going to call it Flagstaff House. There was no formal communique to amend the name from Jubilee House to Flagstaff House. No formal communique. Now, the Flagstaff House building itself is still there as we speak. Where President Nkrumah used to reside, where your name Flagstaff House is still there as we speak. Nobody has going to change the name. The edifice that was put there by President Kufuor to commemorate our Jubilee anniversary is the Jubilee House, which is there. You understand? So there's no name change. I don't see any name change. So when they say name change or name swapping or whatever, there's no name change. What was put by President Kufuor, his name is Jubilee House to commemorate our Jubilee anniversary. Then President Mills came and said he is going to call it Flagstaff House without any formal communique. President Kufuor comes, they check the records, they realize that there was no formal communique to amend the name from Jubilee to Flagstaff House. So they make a formal pronouncement that this, by executive power vested in the president, he has named the place Jubilee House. That is all. So I don't see any name change. And this is no issue. Really, this is no issue.
So the original Flagstaff structure sitting there,
yes.
They claim that that is different, and that the structure now named Jubilee House is a new one. That is what you are arguing for.
No, that is the position. Like, but if you go there right now, you go there after the program, you enter the Flagstaff House, you realize that the Flagstaff House is there, sitting there.
Right, that structure is there.
It's still sitting there. Now the Jubilee House is also sitting there. It's a whole big enclave. You see, it's a whole big enclave, and it's still sitting there. Now that building that was put up by President Kufuor. Now let me even interrogate this matter. Now, prior to the building being constructed, was there any building named Jubilee House?
No, there was nothing. We all knew it as the Flagstaff House.
Exactly. So I have come to construct a building to commemorate our anniversary. And I'm saying that building I've constructed, look for the money to build, I'm calling it Jubilee House. You who didn't construct it, you came and said you want to call it Flagstaff House. When the Flagstaff House itself is still existing. It is still there. It is still there. So, I mean, I don't really get a point.
Is it not a simplification of this? Because before this Jubilee thing, we all knew that structure to be the Flagstaff House. In fact, the structures opposite the Flagstaff House are known as the Flagstaff House quarters. So, is it not simply saying that, well, I have built another structure around it, and so I'm changing the name?
You see, right, this is like having a land. Right, this TV3 here, you have your studio here, right? You have an adjoining land over there. Now this studio, I don't know what you call it. What do you call this studio?
This is our main
Studio 1.
Yes.
Studio 1.
Okay, if you put it at
Right, Studio 1. Now the adjoining land over there is a bare land. So I secure funding. And I said, look, let's do a project. I want to name it Studio 2. Having completed, I said it's Studio 2. Management change hands. They say, well, we will still name it Studio 1. Anyone in America said, look, there was purpose for this funding to commemorate a certain event. And we said it's called Studio 2. So we are making it Studio 2. However, Studio 1 is still in existence. Where we are sitting here, it is still here. You see, we started doing even your program when we were in 2012, 13 petition. Right. We were not doing it here. We were doing it at the other place. All right? Now, if for some reason that place is now under another construction, with another third name or second name, why do you want to insist that by virtue of the fact that Studio 1 is this called Studio 1, everywhere should be called Studio 1? No. So yes, it's a big bare land. The land is there. But then before, in his wisdom, said, look, let me go and look for money from India. Got the money, put up the structure, very nice edifice, and then said, I am going to name it Jubilee House to commemorate our Jubilee anniversary. President Mills came, he said, look, I'm going to name it Flash Tower. He devoted the fact that the Flash Tower was still in existence. All right? We checked the records. There is no formal communique amending the name from the original Jubilee House to a Flash Tower House. So the president said, look, I'm going to put it back to where it is. That is all. And therefore, by virtue of the power vested in me as the president, I'm going to call it Jubilee House. There is no issue. There is absolutely no issue.
The NDC has hinted that it comes to power and the name reverts. Is that what you think will resolve this? So anytime there's an NPP government, there's a change. Anytime there's an NDC government, there's a change. You
say, why do you have to go through this kind of route? That when a new government takes place, you know, they say they want to, you know, change the name from one name to another name. Like, you know, I concede to the point my brother just said. It's a very valid point that he made, that we shouldn't go that route. We shouldn't go that route. I think that we should all accept the fact that the purpose for that particular project was to commemorate an event, Jubilee House, Ghana Golden Jubilee Anniversary. So that building is there to commemorate the Jubilee Anniversary. Period. So I really share my brother's opinion that we should not go that route.
Gary sought to be mischievous in the examples. In the examples he cited, I mean, he sought to compare pineapples to meat pie. You know, because I mean, in the example about the studio construction that he gave, that because another studio has been constructed, it shouldn't be named Studio 1, but it should be Studio 2, etc. And so I think that example is flawed.
That is
flawed
exactly
because first of all, we are talking about TV3 as a premises, as a venue. The fact that you construct another studio doesn't change the premises called TV3 or Adisawe.
Right.
It maintains its name, Adisawe. Right. And the fact that you construct another studio doesn't mean that studio should mean that it should mean a change of name for the entire premises. That's the point. That's the example you give. And I'm saying that it's flawed.
Yeah, it's not flawed. You see, here we have Studio 1, you have Studio 2, you have Studio 3. Is that not correct?
It's correct, but it's called TV3.
Yes, no,
but it's called TV3.
You have Studio 1.
And the fact that you contract another studio.
Assuming that the Flagstaff House over there has huge space from what we've been seeing with the drone shots, huge space. So assuming we are 75 years as a country, that's our diamond jubilee, and we are able to put up another structure within.
We should change it to Diamond.
We have to rename it.
We can say Diamond. We can say Diamond House.
Okay.
Diamond House. No, wait a minute. If the president decides, that I'm going to move, you see, I'm not even going to move, but I've done a Diamond House. All right, this building construction, it's called Diamond House. Period. It doesn't mean that the seat of government will necessarily move to that place. Even if we move to that place, I'm going to call it Diamond House.
Right. Okay. 1 minute is very important.
You see, I don't see this.
Right.
Issue.
Right. 1 minute. It's very, very important. Right. First of all, you see, the principles have been laid. But you see, the clumsiness with which Gavi seeks to muddy the whole place is what I find worrying. He's saying that once there's another regime that puts up another structure in the same compound for our Diamond Jubilee, they can call the place Diamond House.
They can call that building. It's the building.
Okay, fine. So now he's saying that
no problem.
You hold on. Gary, hold on. He's saying that when there's another building to commemorate our Diamond Jubilee anniversary, we should call that building Diamond House.
You may call it.
We may call it Diamond House. However, there's a building to commemorate our Golden Jubilee, but he fails to call that particular building Jubilee House, but rather names the entire area Jubilee House.
Oh, it's not
that is where I find it contradictory. You understand? So,
right.
So I think
moving on.
It's just
I'm grateful. Let's see what happens in conclusion. Johnny will come in with some
it is just an attempt
comments.
And the long-standing antagonism and hatred for Osaje Fokwa. I think that it should be made quite clear.
Okay.
That's not good.
All right.
That's not good.
Let me pick some comments. I would love us to talk about this Palmer Bakil issue. But Johnny, some comments quickly. And
of course, Bright. We will not change our text consoles. Good morning, TV3. Please tell Mr. President that his governing body. Well, he jumped up there again. Let's find it. That enough of the naming ceremonies. Changing the name of the State House has done nothing about the unemployment of the youth. Mr. President, please deliver to the good people of Mother Ghana what change. Mahama 2020 hashtag Operation One Touch Victory. Nelson Yesuto in Ho. AU Farouk in Tamale says the release of Koku Anyidaho will not stop us from demonstrating our displeasure towards the sale of Ghana to the U.S. The demo will continue until our sovereignty, which is given to the U.S., is restored. Good morning to you and your panelists. Ghana as a country is a joke on its own. If the kind of leaders we have now were those that we had during the colonial days, we still will be under colonial rule by now. Our leaders should put Ghana first and not their parties and their self-interest. We must be serious as a nation. The blame game is just too much. And isn't the party we voted to power, MPP, is dying slowly? You say we have now been disappointed. No job for the youth. FM Kwame in LR Town. I don't know where that is. Good morning. MPP, one district, one factory, one village, one dam. Not even a bucket of water has been provided to any of these districts of Ghanaians are fed up with these cheap talks from the political dragados. Is that what you say, Big Mama? Amadou from Kumasi says, as the MPP man, which bears is he talking about? He shouldn't provoke us this morning. Time will tell. Gary, your matter has come. Hey, MPP, you talk as if free SHS has come to solve all our problems. Sikano Kwame Sawam wants to know. Please, the MPP communicator, Honorable Gary's analysis and analogies are so flimsy and queer. If they knew there was nothing in the coffers, why should they keep promising and promising? Relating the economy to a baby is infantile and does not rhyme with these their sloganeering and promises. When it's used them, they put up figures called statistics to confuse people. I call such brandishing of figures statistics, not statistics. Aziz and Kumbungu. Good morning, TV3. Whereas Judas sold Jesus for silver and gold, his offerings in Ghana also sold Mother Ghana for $20 million. Upon this betrayal, Jesus asked God to forgive Judas. In the same way, we shall pray for Judas's offspring not to go ahead to collect $20 million in Jesus' name. Philip Ying from Togo Waxing Religious. Good morning, TV3, your able panelists. Please tell the MPP man that they have not even made a single block factory that they're talking about. Also, no place is being cited for the one village, one dam. Or are they still waiting for the 20 million for all those things? Incompetent government. 2020 is not far away. Abdullah in Sabalugu. Good morning. Nana Addo and his team of government are confused to the extent, if I were to have the opportunity to advise them, I'll tell them if the kitchen is getting hotter day in and day out, they should get out. Ever since they emerged the seat of government, they have not been able to mold one block, not even a pavilion, Why? Alaji Willie P. and the Fear Kuma. Are you General Nuno Mensah? I've stopped trusting this MPP government a long time ago, and I don't blame them. It's Ghanaians that I blame for wanting everything for free on a silver platter. Invisible forces, invisible one village, one dam, invisible one district, one factory. No wonder Ghana is becoming invisible. A, B, in dam on go. And the agenda of this government to erase everything and anything associated with Dr. Nkrumah, Ghanaians should stand firm against whoever supports imperialism into our country. Shaggy and Nima. And finally, Karim inside War says, this government is not serious at all, and they have nothing good to offer Ghanaians. All what they have to say is that free SHS. Meanwhile, our economy is very hard. No jobs, fuel prices galloping, taxes high, and new taxes are still coming, and businesses are collapsing. However, free SHS is everywhere. Do we chop free SHS? Gary and his... Okay, so Gary, that's how you spell your name. Gary and his government should keep quiet and bow their heads in shame. Gary, it doesn't look like the love is not there for you. This is not a good welcome, is it?
Well, let me say that we take all the comments,
Right.
all the texts that came in good faith, and I believe that the government is a listening government, and they will listen to what the people are saying, and put in place measures and mechanism that will ensure that they are, you know, whatever they look for, they will get it. But you see, they should have faith.
Okay.
They should have faith.
Let's
just 1 year and some
in
few
government.
months.
All right.
They should have faith.
Let's quickly touch on the finder this morning. It's about the U.S. military deal. It says that the hue and cry that greeted the Ghana-U.S. military cooperation agreement ratified by Parliament continues to dominate debate. But the finder says it has information as to exactly what and what is not in the agreement. Now, on inspection of weapons, the critics say, that's according to the finder, that Ghana will not inspect what the U.S. military will bring into Ghana, and that could lead to dangerous weapons coming into Ghana. However, according to the finder, the document is suggesting that it does not allow U.S. to bring into Ghana weapons such as guided missiles, nuclear weapons, torpedoes, chemical weapons, byproducts of chemical ammunition. Again, the military agreement not known to civilians. Now, according to the finder, information gathered through unofficial interaction with the military high command indicates that Ghanaian soldiers also travel outside Ghana without visa and passport for external operations. So the paper is suggesting that what is in the agreement isn't new. And then again, the finder says that Ghanaian soldiers also use weapons and work freely in all other countries wherever they are on external operations as part of military agreements. And so what is in the document isn't anything new. And then on crime and trial, the finder says that from its sources, when a Ghanaian soldier commits crime in another country, that soldier is brought back since the law does not allow such a soldier to be tried or jailed in those countries. So what is in the document isn't new. Again, it says that soldiers, that is Ghanaian troops, are allowed when on external operations to mount, establish and use radio frequency airwaves in that country. So again, suggesting that what is in the agreement that the U.S. soldiers will be allowed to mount radio frequencies isn't new. It goes on to talk about the driving permit and says that Ghanaian soldiers are allowed to drive in other countries with their unexpired foreign driver's license. And so what is in the agreement that allows U.S. soldiers to drive in Ghana without local driving license isn't new. It goes on and on and on, and says that the waiving of duties and taxes are all international agreements, and that soldiers are allowed to operate without all these. That's a story put up by Elvis Darkman, the finder, this morning. Gary, let's quickly start on this one. So, is it a matter of the fact that we do not really understand the document, or perhaps a lot more of communication needs to be done?
I think that a lot more education needs to be done. And you see, it is the first time that we are seeing this sort of agreement being put in the public domain. We recollect that we are told that in 1998 there was one, and also 2015, which I have before me here, there was one, and then also the current one, which there's a lot of brouhaha on it. But you see, you recollect very clearly, this is the first time, even as a journalist, you have heard that there's something called military Ghana, what do you call it, military cooperation with the U.S. Agreement. The first time. Because the 1998 one was not put before Parliament as required by the Constitution. The 2015 one was not put before Parliament as required by the Constitution. They were all concealed from the legislature.
Because of some security reasons, that's what we're told.
Well, you see, because normally the security agencies, when it's about national security and all those things, they try not to put it before Parliament for ratification. It's the first time that we should commend the President for at least exposing the contents of the agreement to members of Parliament, to look at it, to debate it, and then agree or not to agree. Unfortunately, which I think was not the best, that a document of this nature put before parliamentarians and then it is leaked to the public domain even before the matters therein are debated and discussed in Parliament, I think was very unfortunate. Because you see, if the document was meant to be leaked to the public the way it was done, then obviously it would have been leaked long before when it was in the ministry. You know, I don't think that was the best, but it has happened. What do we do? Now it's been debated upon. People are even now trying to twist it and turn it to say that, well, MPP people are bringing American soldiers to come here, come and rape our women, and when they rape our women, they have to now go to America to go and try them, and then when you go to America for visa, they would deny you visa. All manner of twists and propaganda has been put on agreement, all because of lack of what? Education and information. You see, let's get it very clear here. When you declare somebody with a diplomatic status, you acquire somebody with that kind of status, the Vienna Convention applies. Vienna Convention applies. It simply means that that person is accorded certain privileges in the country that they operate, and they don't go to their normal regulatory regime. Now, if that person is let's say, going through your border checks and all those things, even the bag sometimes is not even searched. The bag, unless they have suspicion to believe that that bag is being used to commit a crime, the bag is not searched. Now, if the person commits an offense let's say in Ghana, and been sent here from where in Ghana, you cannot try the person in Ghana unless you take them to the foreign country. The same way, if a Ghanaian diplomat commits offense in the foreign country, you cannot try him in the foreign country. You must bring him to Ghana. Wow, there are so many instances. Bernard and the rest, all of them happen. You cannot try them there because of this diplomatic relationship. Now, you have declared these military people more or less as people to be accorded with diplomatic status. What do you expect? It simply means that they must be accorded all the rights and privileges that diplomats also are given. So, if they come here and for some reason they commit offense, you don't try them in Ghana.
How to be sent back? You
send them to their foreign country, where the foreign court will deal with them and try them there. That is in accord with all the protocols under the Vienna Convention. In the same vein, if a Ghanaian soldier does something over there, you bring them to Ghana and try them in Ghana. You see, this brouhaha and the way it has been thrown out there, it's as if the Americans are coming here, and when they come here, they are intending to come and commit crimes in Ghana, and then you cannot try them in Ghana, so they perpetrate crimes here, and then they must run to America. And then I heard somebody, a political party chairman, say that his village, they must go and sell about 100 cows to go and raise money, to go and get visa, to go to America, and then to go and even make sure that justice is delivered when people commit crimes here. You see, we must be very clear on some of these things.
Government did not communicate well.
That is the difficulty.
So government did not communicate.
It is a manner with which, you see, there's a manner with which the document itself was leaked to the media even before the debate started. You see, the debate has started in Parliament. Then people will now be informed. Then we will now see, okay, what exactly is all this about? Government, you said to communicators to go to the ground to communicate, educate the people, let them understand. Because the way it is being twisted and it's as if the Americans have taken over our sovereignty, that we are no longer, say we are now slaves in our own land. It's a recolonization. I mean, how? If you are cooperating,
if this document is that good, why was the defense minister trying to justify this document on the fact that a former foreign affairs minister had signed it, and so there's nothing wrong with it? If indeed this is a good document,
that is not the position. The position is that we had previous agreements before. 1998 one, 2015 one. Which I said, have this before me here. It's here. You see. This document didn't go to Parliament.
Right.
91 didn't go to Parliament, but this was signed by Ghana. All right. The other one was also signed. Bottom line is that there must be cooperation and collaboration of militaries and foreign countries and Ghana, and because in the event of these kind of modern crimes that are going on, now crime is now global.
Okay.
And therefore there is cooperation. It does not amount to any of them taking over our sovereignty, that we are now subjugated to America because of the agreement.
Yeah, please come in.
And I think it is far-fetched.
Is it that we don't know what is really in the document?
Well, I think that the government is embarrassed by its actions, by the action that it has taken amid the many calls of political party leadership, of many well-meaning Ghanaians about the fact that this agreement is not in the interest of this country. Again, you will recall that in the memorandum, I don't know if you've read it, that was sent to Parliament. It was stated quite clearly that the need for a new agreement was important because existing cooperation agreement had elapsed. And so that is the basis for an enhanced agreement that will seek to ensure that there's collaboration. So what has existed previously, first of all, had elapsed. Secondly, what we are seeing today is an enhanced version of what existed before. Thirdly, from all that they are saying, even if there were existing agreements that were also inimical to our country, per the Supreme Court ruling that compelled all agreements to be sent to Parliament in order for it to become valid, that their own person Nanabuache sent on the Gitmo 2 issue, it means that all existing agreements will be null and void. So where we are is a current agreement that they themselves, chaired by the cabinet that the president chairs, sent to Parliament, that we had a majority NPP Parliament approving of. And that is the disgrace and the embarrassment that they are seeking to remedy by all this justification. You see, right?
Quickly.
The contradiction and the confusion and the point I made earlier about the president's deception in wanting to build Ghana beyond aid has been laid bare and clearly in this agreement. That you are telling me, and in fact, right, you see, when you read the Joint Committee of Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, their report that they sent to the plenary, and the observation, I think point 6.2 or something, they themselves clearly state that the unfettered assets that we are giving to these U.S. military officers, our airspace, our water space, our territorial boundaries and so on that we are giving to them, maybe
the unfettered access to agreed facilities.
And all that. No, that is not even the point. The point I should agreed facilities.
I am wrapping up. Yeah, wrap up.
Agreed facilities means nothing. It means access to some facilities. Yes. So it doesn't. It doesn't deliver the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that
wrap up.
In Parliament's own observation, in point 6, at the committee level, they said that those unfettered access to facilities and all these things that embodies the sovereignty of this country, once offered to them, would undermine, of course they use the word may undermine the sovereignty and security of our country. Now if Parliament themselves, I'm grateful. Now if Parliament themselves at the committee level thinks that this would be inimical to our security and sovereignty, what is Gary sitting here?
Yapia Kubi is a member of the MPP's NDC's communication team. Yes, he's a member of the NDC's communication. Gary Nimako is also a member of the NPP's communication. The gentlemen, grateful for your Tuesday morning with us. You sent in your comment. We're grateful. You send them. We'll read the rest after this. There is more on the show after sports. Stay here.